Hey everyone, what is up? I am Joe Bender, Community Manager at Hiro, here once again to talk about Stacks, Clarity, and the developer tools that can help you to be successful. I'm fresh off NFT NYC last week. I could not be more pumped about the Stacks ecosystem, all of the projects emerging, seeing Jamil from Gamma, Lewis from Ryder on stage talking Stacks NFTs was kind of a mind-blown moment for me. I've been going to crypto conferences for years, and seeing our ecosystem represented and celebrated in the greater crypto ecosystem was, my Stacks heart grew 3 sizes that day. Thanks to Kenny for a phenomenal high-level overview of Stacks, why the heck we're here and choosing to build with Clarity, why we should definitely not be putting Bitcoin in the rearview mirror of our Web3 party bus. And so we just heard all about the why Stacks anchors itself to Bitcoin security, why Ethereum's future is questionable and its developer experience can be hair-pulling, and why proof of transfer is a game changer, in our opinion. Now, I'm going to dive into the how to get started building on Stacks, how to leverage developer tools to make your life a lot easier, how to make everyone's favorite software development life cycle smooth and painless on Stacks. In Ethereum, we saw the explosion of activity when the efficient developer tools came out. MetaMask, Truffle, Infura, Hardhat, Etherscan. These are the tools that equip developers to build the Uniswaps and MakerDAOs and Bored Apes of the world. Fortunately, Stacks is literally speed running years of Ethereum development process in the matter of a year. The fleet of dev tools you need to build an Arcadico or a Megapont or a Gamma is already here, and I'm going to tell you all about it today. Let's dive right on it. Boom, there they are. Those are the fleet of tools that Hiro offers to get you started with development. There's Clarinet and Clarity VS Code extension, Stacks API, Stacks.js, and the Wallet and Explorer. Kenny talked about and even demonstrated a couple of them in his presentation. I'm going to go a bit more granularly. And we're going to start off with Clarinet, everyone's favorite brass-themed framework for getting started building on Stacks. It's really everything you need when it comes to your development environment, your dependencies, your libraries, your plugins, all of that stuff when it comes to the multiple components that you need to build on Stacks. Sometimes you need a Bitcoin node and a Stacks node. Sometimes you need to access the API or Stacks.js. Clarinet kind of alleviates the defragmenting of those tools and brings them all together in a tool belt for you to use much more efficiently. What does Clarinet wrangle? It wrangles Clarity. Clarity is the smart contract programming language on Stacks. Kenny just went at lengths about its benefits and the incentives it provides to build on top of. It's predictable, it's decidable, it's human readable, and it gives you some visibility into Bitcoin. We think it's super powerful. Like Kenny said, it's list-based, parenthetical. It's pretty familiar for people that have used list-based languages in the past. He also said it's strongly typed. That does not mean you really need to hammer into your keyboard when coding. It means there's a stricter enforcement of restrictions and mixing data types and values. In almost all cases, a statically typed language are strongly typed. Just got a Discord message. Let me make sure all is good. Nice. Okay. So it's not possible for a programmer to work around restrictions in a strongly typed language. And the end result is Clarity being safer and more predictable. So what does Clarinet offer you? At the top level, project creation, management, and organization. I know that sounds like not the craziest, most innovative feature ever, but when it comes to developing dApps, there's a lot of folders and directories where your contract lives, where your front end lives, where your configuration files live. And Clarinet is your housekeeper, keeping everything in the right place and updated. It also checks the syntax of your contracts and does static analysis. That is huge for testing and debugging and getting inline error messages instead of You run your test suite at the end, you get a bunch of errors, and you don't even know where to start. Having the errors in line is a lot better for parsing things. You can also execute a test suite instead of doing things less a la carte. You want to have an entire test suite that is checking all the edge cases and all the functionality. Cost optimizations was a huge feature that was added in the last year. Because in the nascent nature of our ecosystem, some of the best practices or best patterns weren't standardized yet. So Clarinet helps you keep your costs down on your contract. You can, because it's statically typed and non-Turing complete, you can conceive of any path your contract would take. So you can predict the cost that it would take. Once you optimize them, your contract is going to use a lot less gas and be much more cost efficient. You can load contracts in the console. It gives you a little CLI right there. And Devnet is kind of the label for what this whole thing is. It is your developer network. That's why it's called Devnet. It's a little petri dish risk-free environment for testing your code. Clarinet configures a Bitcoin node, a Stacks node, all of the libraries, a CLI, and then gives you a lot of feedback on what is happening in your little compartmentalized blockchain, like the Genesis block being mined or the POX contract being deployed. You can also call contracts on mainnet from Clarinet. You have the ability to wire it up to mainnet or testnet. It doesn't have to be your local environment. And what would a development tool be if you couldn't deploy contracts right from there and debug your contracts? Super powerful tool. We've put a lot of love into Clarinet the last year and a half. We're kind of thinking of it as the way to develop on Stacks. If I couldn't imagine trying to develop a dApp without it. We've heard a lot of praise from ecosystem teams on how it streamlines their engineering process. It is, in fact, available on Homebrew. Super easy to download if you're on a Mac. And I want to point out the Clarinet 101 playlist on YouTube. Ludo Galabru and a couple other Hiro engineers have done a great job giving little demos and rundowns of different functionalities. That's Clarinet. It is powerful. It makes beautiful smart contract music. This is what the DevNet looks like. As I was mentioning earlier, up here you're getting info on what's going down, Bitcoin blocks being received or blocks being published. You have block information down here, the hash, Bitcoin block height, POX cycle. Up here you have feedback on all your services. Looks like we got the Bitcoin node, Stacks node, and Stacks API running, but maybe we don't need a Stacks Explorer or Bitcoin Explorer, so those are disabled. Oh, Shannon throwing links in the chat for me. Some mempool information. And then down here, you can think what happened at the point of creation of Stacks. Well, we deployed POX, we deployed BNS, we deployed Genesis. It's kind of cool to see what happens when the blockchain is launched there. Clarinet, your ace in the hole or your secret weapon when it comes to developing. Those are some of the features I described. I won't go into them again, but testing smart contracts. We have seen so many vulnerabilities in the Web3 world because of buggy Solidity contracts or an unapproachable language. Clarinet is there to make your contracts safer, to help when you're writing them to make them safer, when you're testing them to make testing more demystified and giving you more feedback on what is happening with your contracts. And then once it goes to deploying and using your smart contracts, we want that flow to be easy for the developer too. Next up, Clarity VS Code extension. VS Code is the industry standard in our ecosystem. Super powerful IDE, gives you everything you need to get started. And the Clarity VS Code extension plugs right into VS Code and gives you a bunch of features, such as auto completion. We're not computers. We're just animals. We don't have an entire reference of the Stacks API or Stacks.js in our mind. So the auto completion really helps you with some of the Clarity references and features and functions and keywords instead of having to keep the docs open in a tab. You can get it auto-completed right there in line. Syntax highlighting of native types. I'm a very visual thinker myself. If I didn't have syntax highlighting and different colors for different types of variables, I wouldn't be a developer. So the different syntax highlighting that the VS Code extension gives you, super helpful when looking at a big behemoth contract. Also, syntax is checked whenever contracts are saved, which is super critical. And that inline error details I was telling you about earlier, very valuable for testing contracts on the fly and not waiting to see how your contract works until the very end. Clarity VS Code can be downloaded from the VS Code Marketplace. Wow, 1,800 installs. You guys are really getting to work out there. Really easy to plug into VS Code. Just click install on this webpage, or I think there's even a baked-in marketplace to VS Code. The Stacks API. If you aren't aware by now, APIs are how you leverage things. Pretty much every website or framework has an API that allows you to interact with it. OpenSea has the API that lets you query their NFTs. Twitter has an API that lets you pull tweet information into another world. The Stacks API is how you interact with data on the blockchain and learn stuff about the stuff on it. It's a system that indexes all of the blockchain into a Postgres database for much easier queryability, is that a word? Through JSON endpoints. You interact directly with the blockchain, but you don't need to be running a node on your own. The API kind of handles things for you. You can broadcast transactions, query information, get metadata, and scale your projects, most importantly. They are REST API endpoints. We think they're pretty developer friendly. We've seen a lot of people leverage NFT endpoints for different marketplaces and collections, and they provide accurate, real-time, performant data. I think I have some of the API endpoints. This is the framework. That's what it looks like. And these are some of the types of API endpoints. You can conceive of what you would need to do with these various endpoints. If you need to access someone's account and what sort of assets they hold, you would use the accounts endpoint. If you need to interact with NFTs, maybe get a collection name, get the quantity of the collection, you could use the NFT endpoints. It's kind of choose your own adventure for what functionality you need to achieve and then what API endpoint you use. And the API reference in the Hiro docs, very valuable. Let's talk about those NFT endpoints I was saying. We got holdings, history, token mints. This is how you sink your teeth into the data on the blockchain. Next up, Stacks.js. Oh, JavaScript. Hello, JavaScript, my old friend. I've come to pull my hair again. Stacks.js is awesome, super powerful. JavaScript is just ubiquitous. We can't avoid it. It's funny, it's been around for like 20, 30 years, and we're still relying on it because it is powerful, useful, and familiar to a lot of devs out in the ecosystem. What does it do? It gives you access to a bunch of different packages for performing operations, such as storage or connecting to an app. I'll run through some of them here. And for example, connecting wallets, you would use the connect. Let's say you have an app in a web UI and you need to connect to the Stacks wallet. You would use the connect package. I won't run through them all, but you can kind of conceive if you needed to connect to a network, the testnet, you could use the network package. If you need to leverage BTC.US names in your app, you could use the BNS package. It's just buckets of functionality, and much like the API, you're choosing your own adventure and picking a package for what functionality you need. Much like the API, there's a very helpful reference page with all sorts of information for getting your hands dirty with it. Let's see, stacks.bns. What can you do with it? You can check availability of names, you could get name price, you could pre-order a name. Whatever your heart desires, Stacks.js has the feature for you. Last up, we have the wallet and the Explorer. Some of the most used apps in the ecosystem. We've seen the wallet be leveraged to buy NFTs on Gamma or swap tokens on Arcadico. It's really your portal to Web3 on Stacks. And first, we're going to talk about the Hiro wallet. people are familiar with blockchain wallets by now and all of the features they provide, sending and receiving tokens, holding on to NFT assets, and a bunch of other functionality. The Hiro wallet has BNS support. You can populate it with your BTC.US name there. You have ledger support. If you want to connect a cold storage wallet, which I recommend you do, always keep your tokens in cold storage. You can have multiple accounts, switch between accounts. You can buy stacks within the wallet, thanks to providers such as MoonPay or Transact. And you can also switch networks, which is really valuable for developers. If you want to connect to testnet, launch an app in a risk-free environment to see how it runs in production, you can switch over to testnet, or even connect your Hiro web wallet to the Devnet if you're really testing things and getting familiar with Clarinet. And finally, we have the Stacks Explorer. I have the Stacks Explorer open in a tab all day, every day. I love looking at the contracts that are trickling out. You wouldn't have seen the hilarious U2 contract this week. Everyone remembers when U2 added their album to iTunes and it like automatically got added to your library. Someone made a funny troll NFT where he tried to transfer the U2 NFT. It transfers it all right, but it just mints another one to your wallet so you can never get rid of it. You wouldn't have seen that and if you weren't combing the Stacks Explorer for the most used contracts recently. It is truly, we call it the GitHub of smart contracts almost, because Clarinet is human readable. The contracts that are on the Stacks Explorer are there as the developer intended, and you can kind of read through it, grok the functionality, see how they structured it, see some of the functionality they're implementing and the design principles that they adhere to. Every developer is different. Lord knows I learned a lot from scanning Frieger's contracts back in the day. So the Stacks Explorer also has default smart contract pages. If you click on a smart contract, it'll give you a bunch of information on it, such as its name, the transaction ID of its deployment, who it was deployed by, what block height it was deployed at, and then down the bottom, you can see the source code in any transactions related to that smart contract or transactions that called that smart contract. So in the BNS smart contract, what's a function that would be called in that contract? Let's think. People would need to pre-order a name, definitely, yeah. And then after the pre-order, they would need to register a name. Oh, look at that right there at those transactions. Pre-order transactions, registration transactions being called to the smart contract, and then that's just calling the specific function within the smart contract. Finally, everyone loves to build sandcastles and play with trucks, so that's why we have the Stacks Explorer sandbox. Too much fun in the Stacks Explorer sandbox. Really simple functionality, but really powerful for quickly doing things. Yeah, Clarinet's great and has all of those dependencies already pre-configured. But let's say you just got a snippet of code and you want to throw it on the blockchain and see how it runs. That's what the sandbox is for. It has 3 sections. The first one, simplest, transferring stacks. You can enter an address and an amount and send stacks, and then it will use your Hiro wallet to perform the transaction. Also, I do see we're running a little over there. It is being recorded, so if you have a Stacks development sprint you got to get to, definitely do that. But we will be sure to circulate the recording, and I'll try to hurry up here. Appreciate everyone's patience. You can send and receive stacks. You can deploy a contract to mainnet. That's what I was talking about. You just throw the code in, hit deploy, confirm the transaction on your Hiro wallet, and you're there. No need to set up a Stacks node. No need to do anything from the command line. It is purely from this browser. Then once the smart contract is deployed, you can use the function calling section of the sandbox to populate the contract by putting in its address, and then you get access to all of the functions right there. And you can even call read-only functions without sending a transaction from the Hiro wallet. The API will handle everything for you. The Explorer is hooked up to an API, and it will perform the call for you right there and give you the feedback on it. Someone posted a link to the sandbox. Thank you very much. I'm kind of on it today with the like randomly pulling windows in and demonstrating things. As we can see, this is the write and deploy section. You would throw code in and hit deploy. I don't think I'm logged into my Hiro wallet right now, but if I did, it would pop up. Then there's the call function sections. We've been mentioning BNS today. BNS is our fave. As you can see, you would click this, put in a namespace and a name and call the function, and it would perform for you. And then there's that final send and receive stack section. Love the Stacks Explorer. I didn't demonstrate this first page that shows all of the recent transactions and all the recent blocks. Truly the plugging into the matrix of Stacks. You can just see all the info right there. Boom, we did it. We made it. Those are all of the tools in your superhero development belt, your lasso of truth, your Jarvis, your Mjolnir. It's going to help you build the DApp of your dreams. You know, we've really seen, I've been in the Stacks ecosystem for 2 years, and it's been great to see one day someone has an idea about Arcadico and they submit it to the testnet hackathon and just get more familiar with Clarinet, get more familiar with the tools. And next thing you know, it is a live in production DeFi platform on Stacks. These development tools are going to help you take that idea to a fully fledged app. And also, it's kind of a logical flow of how the tools go in the developer experience. You know, when you're getting started, you're really throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. You use Clarinet and Clarity VS Code to code. It's build time. Let's do it. Then once you kind of start to have an idea of what your DApp should be and how it's going to provide value to users, you can use the Stacks API and Stacks.js to start interacting with the blockchain, doing the crypto part of the app that makes the decentralized internet go. It's the whole reason for switching from Web 2 to Web 3, interacting with the blockchain, having your data be decentralized and secure. Then once you're ready to take over the world with your latest NFT collection or DeFi app, the wallet and the Explorer are going to help you reach users, test the app live in production, see how it's performing on chain. And it's been great to see developers really embrace this flow and use the right tool for the right job in the right part of the process. I think that might be all I got for you. One thing I do want to mention is tomorrow is the Hiro Monthly Developer Call. Once a month, I host a Hiro Monthly Developer Call. I've been blown away by the engagement in it. We've had community members come in and ask awesome questions. We got a little coding demo tomorrow. I'm doing another smart contract of the month. Here's a hint. I've mentioned the smart contract of the month on this call. I'm not going to give away any more. I'm going to go ahead and take this handy dandy URL and throw it in the chat for anyone who wants to hop in the party tomorrow. And yeah, all my information is right there. Oh, what's this? My Twitter? Oh, what? You want to go follow me on Twitter? No, don't do that. Everything's right there. I'm also on the Stacks Discord. Feel free to reach out to me on DMs if you have any questions or comments or concerns. I am always down to hold a new Stacks developer's hand through the onboarding process and get them up to speed on how to build in this Stacks land that we've created here. That's about all I got for the Hiro product tour. I don't know if we have much time for questions, but Shannon, thank you so much for having me, and Kenny, knocking it out of the park as always with a high-level overview.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. That was amazing. As always, we definitely have to do more of these, and sign up for that developer call tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. You're not going to want to miss it. We do have a question in there. We can wrap it up or take this offline.
Ask a question section. Hello, I'm learning. Let's talk about hyperchains. Is that Kenny? Nice.
Oh yeah, Kenny got the first one. We have that other one. Oh, we have a few in here.
I'm currently learning about. I have quite a lot of experience with Solidity and Hardhat. I was wondering if content like that hardless development process. Yeah. There's a lot of good resources out there. You know, like Kenny said, things are emerging. You know, and the docs are under-equipped only because you all are doing such crazy things with Clarity and with Stacks right now. So the answer is no, there is not a perfect blog post of how to go from Clarity smart contract and then link it up to a React front end and then have the idea be valuable for users even in the first place, because that's what people are doing right now. We're seeing these dApps emerge and projects flying through the Stacks accelerator and everything. So I don't think there's a single silver bullet of plugging into the matrix and learning everything you need to know. But I would start with grokking Clarity, learning Clarity through Clarinet 101, through a lot of the great tutorials and templates. Picasso said great artists steal, and Lord knows I've copied a lot of Clarity smart contracts in the wild and then tweaked them to learn or experiment. Then once you do that, I think in the Clarinet 101 playlist, there's a great video integrating Clarity smart contracts with a front end or something. And that will help you take that next step, which is cool. You have your smart contracts, you have all your blockchain stuff. Now you want to start developing a dApp, link up to the Hiro wallet. There are a lot of kind of case studies out in the world of some of the founders and builders in the ecosystem that have, yes, Kenny is linking the exact articles I am thinking of. Kenny wrote a great one a while back, and I've seen a couple other pop up. But I mean, we're still sussing out the best practices and the best design principles when it comes to launching a dApp on Stacks. And yeah, we've seen Megapont stress test. We've seen Arcadico and Gamma's UX and UI. Oh, I would use Gamma over OpenSea in a heartbeat. My OpenSea barely loads because their optimization is horrible. So we are seeing Stacks developers figure out the best ways to launch their dApp and go through the entire development life cycle in an efficient, secure, successful way, I guess. Did we have any more? Kenny wanted to talk about hyperchains a bit. I'll leave hyperchains to the experts. I would reference the last monthly developer call. Sarala, our head of engineering at Hiro, gave a great presentation on hyperchains. They have been launched on testnet and are being tested right now. We're going to be testing them for a long time. We like to test things for a long time here, the next couple months before we deploy to mainnet. But also some great blog posts in the Hiro blog about hyperchains. Scalability solution, much like microblocks, just chipping away at the scalability problem, just like every other ecosystem in blockchain. But really excited about hyperchains. I know our engineers have put a lot of love into them.